Welcome back to another World's Best Gardens. This week we're looking at the Lost Gardens of Heligan. The Lost Gardens of Heligan are located near the Cornwall coast. They were created by the Tremayne family. The area has a temperate climate which allows some subtropical plants like tree ferns and palms to thrive. The estate spans over 200 acres, with 40 acres dedicated to gardens, including productive gardens, flower garden and theme gardens. The remaining 160 acres consists of pasture, meadows and forests. Now, so upon arrival, you have two options. You can go to the left, and that gets you to the gardens, which I'd recommend visiting first if you prefer a shorter walk and just want to see the gardens. But to the right, you've got the forest walk and meadowlands, and there's a few interesting spots along there, but it's a longer walk, but probably more recommended for kids and families. So the Tremayne family has owned the Heligan estate for over 400 years, and the main focus of it is being a productive garden to feed the family and the staff of the time. The development of the pleasure gardens really didn't start until about 1766, when shelter belts and wall gardens were placed. And really what happened after World War I, a lot of the gardeners went away to war, they didn't come back, and the garden went into disrepair. So in 1990, a distant relative, John Willis, hired an archaeologist, Tim Smit, and John Nelson, a builder, to just renovate the place. And so it's become a real story of a renovation. So here we've got the flower garden, and it features not only beautiful cut flowers and displays, but also fruit and vegetable plots. And at its centre, you've got a dipping pool. And the dipping pool was used to fill, in the day, the gardeners used to fill their watering cans. Also in there, we've got Paxton-style glass houses and things like that. So this part here is the Sunddal and Centre Gardens, and it was also known as Mrs. Tremayne's Flower Garden, because in 1896 it was considered England's finest herbaceous border. Today it's home to a variety of aromatic plants and scented flowers, and it features this quite amazing tree in the corner called the pocket handkerchief tree. So this was a nice little garden to walk around, and it's got formal lawns and a nice sundial in the middle. And on the other side, we've got like a bird bath. And you could see on the other side, you could see there's quite, the wall there is needing some help to be supported. So now we're going to this. These are the productive gardens. So they were in the early 1800s. The estate garden supported not just the family, but visitors. There was 42 staff members, 22 outside workers, gardeners, and people like that. 20 domestic staff. The gardens in 1992 were completely overrun with growth, so they had to be rebuilt. And at the time, these gardens were used to produce 17 tons of fruit. But look at these amazing plants on the wall, like things like pears, and then this huge area here for the kitchen garden. It's a massive area, so you can see quite an undertaking to keep this all maintained. They've got pretty much a biodiversity ethic here, and very organic. So in the corner of the melon yard, we've got a place called the Dark House. This was a place that was cool and dark, and it helped to preserve the fruit and vegetables that were collected. And we've also got in this area, we've got a place called the Thunderbox, which was the toilet. This is where the gardeners of the time before World War I went in there, signed the walls and the door, and sadly most of them didn't return. Now in 1990 this area was discovered, and this became the impetus for the renovations of the Heligan Gardens. So there's a lot of different parts to the garden. This is a theme garden. This is the Italian garden. And again, this was one of my favourite gardens. I thought this was really well done. So the Italian garden was completed in 1909 and was designed by the last squire, Jack Tremayne, and he loved the garden, but his true passion was for Italy, where he moved to a villa in Liguria in 1923. This is the other part where you go to the right and you go on these long walks. It's really great for families and kids. They've got a lot of playgrounds there. There's a few cool things along here. So this one here, where you often see the picture to advertise the Heligan Gardens, is the Mud Maid. And this is done by Sue and Pete Hill. They were the guys that did this. They put a wooden frame on there. You've got a carex species there for the hair, and also crocuses and things like ivies that are growing over the body. But it was quite good. I mean, it was a little bit smaller than I expected. And this one here is the giant's head. This was where the oak tree had fallen over, and instead of just doing nothing with it, they'd made this little fun thing. So there's another one there called the Grey Lady that we didn't get time to see. This is the Meadowfield, so great for families to walk through, and there's a real sort of focus on biodiversity, getting the pollinators in there. And then we've got 8 acres of jungle walk. So this is where a lot of the tree ferns are and all the subtropical plants, and a few little ponds and water features, and that gunner that we saw the other day, that big giant gunnerer. And then I was very impressed, if you've got a family, this is a must. You've got this massive playground, and it's got all sorts of bits and pieces in there, including this amazing outdoor trampoline kind of structure. And then just lastly, this is the steward's house. So this was another nice area. It had a few hydrangeas and nice trees. There's a cafe here too if you want to buy it to eat. This was a display by the Dahlia Society, and these were looking really good at the time that we visited. Lots of different dahlias there, some cacti types. Okay guys, we're going to wrap it up there. This was the Lost Gardens of Heligan. It was a definite worthwhile visit to go and see the gardens, and we ended up as usual in the Heligan kitchen, the place to eat, and that was great. Great day out for a family and people just generally interested in gardens.